Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm so glad you are here today. Let's jump right in. There is a great divide that is occurring between two groups of people. And most likely, if you're watching this video, it's between your parents, which are mostly boomers, and anybody who was born in the generations after. You were raised after them. They raised you up. And the government and the elites and the corporations are doing their dangdest to separate you from the ability to own a home, own a car, have privacy, own a firearm. That's right, they're separating you. And I'm going to share with you today how they're doing it and possibly a couple ways you can combat that. But let's dive right in. The thing that they are doing, there was a generation of boomers. They made money hand over fist for the most part. They could get loans. As one person said, you could walk into a bank with a handshake and a smile, you could get a loan. Not that that's a bad thing, but they were borrowing money to continue to take risk, to make investments, and to push. And a big majority of the wealth is held by boomers. And these boomers believe that everything would get better, including for their children. Now, here is where the trick and the gap is being created. They believed as their life got better, the ultimate goal was to move towards comfort and to have more conveniences and an easier life and retire and enjoy and sit back by the pool with your favorite drink. And then their kids would experience the exact same life. But here's what happened. Whether it was a byproduct of capitalism that just happened, which I don't believe, or it was a systematic design to get your wealth from you and make you permanent renters and people who pay monthly subscriptions, which is what we're moving towards, they allowed the boomers to make money, and they begin to see that they had a house, they had other assets, and they were increasing along with inflation, which is controlled by the government. Essentially, the Fed can control the money supply. They can print more money. As those assets that a few people had went up in value, their net worth became greater, while the hardworking people and the younger people, generations below them, continue to work. They don't see nearly the rise in income through their job and their labor as baby boomers and older generations have seen through assets. So essentially, if you didn't take risk and borrow money or find money or have money to go buy assets like gold, silver, real estate, stocks, bonds, if you didn't buy those things, then you got left behind. And what if you were a saver? You got left behind. So here's the separation. Your parents, most likely, if they made enough money, they invested it. They had a 401k, they had a pension or retirement plan, and as they got older, they planned to live off that, which they deserve to. But that money is now being invested on Wall Street because they don't want to be bothered with anything, because they want to live a life of comfort, because they did work hard and put in their time. But now that money's going to Wall Street, and as long as they get a return, as long as they get a monthly check or a quarterly check to live off of, they're not really concerned what's happening on the back end. And as one group of people, or a couple that I know, have their money invested with a guy in New York, they said, man, we're getting great returns, life is good. And they said, we've got all our money with this guy, and he put it all in a company called BlackRock. So all their money's with BlackRock, they're getting a good return, but are they aware that on the front end, BlackRock is buying up single family homes through their corporation and subsidiaries? Do they know that their children are now bidding against corporations? That did not exist in their day. So the divide is they made a group of people, baby boomers mainly, they got them comfortable and they lulled them to sleep with comfort. Now they have swimming pools, they can knock off at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and have a drink and relax and hang out with friends. They've got enough money to overcome the rising cost of living. But here is where the major divide is. They're comfortable and they have enough money to live off of, and soon, and by soon I mean the next 20 years, we don't wish death on anybody, but death gets us all, they will all be dead. And when they're gone, their homes and their assets are now only affordable, due to inflation, only affordable to corporations and elites, who are currently buying up the homes and will continue to buy up the homes, therefore making it harder for younger people to afford a home. And even if you are able to afford a home and you don't have to live in a tent or a van or an RV, I've been there. If you're in that boat, I've been there. If you have to live in any of those things, which is not a home, which is not a permanent stick-built asset that's going to go up in value, if you're forced to live in those, you will always be left behind. Even if you're hardworking, you will be left behind because the rising cost of everything is going to prevent you from being able to afford a home. Or if you do afford a home, eventually corporations will most likely get it because death tax will be applied depending on who the president and who the administration is. You'll have a massive tax when it's tried to transfer to you. Then you'll have local government taxing you. You'll have property taxes. You'll have higher maintenance and upkeep because the HVAC company and the electrician and the plumber and everybody you need has been purchased through private equity, which is investment firms out of big cities for people that want to make more and more money so they can have a bigger and better lifestyle than you have. They don't care about you, and they're leveraging the comfort and the attitude of those who came before us who did work hard, but I believe they got duped. Now they're too comfortable and they're too rigid in their thinking because they only have two choices. They can either admit we allowed this to happen, or they can continue to pretend like they don't know about it so they can enjoy their lifestyle. Either way, it's a tough spot for them. It is a tough spot for boomers. Did they allow it to happen, or did they make it happen? Now, this is not to be offensive towards boomers. They can't help that it was easier to acquire an asset and that the income ratio to homes and cars and all other things was much closer than it is today. It's not necessarily their fault. So this is not blame on boomers. But the situation that we all are in, all Americans, the average hardworking American is in today, that you can't save, and unless you have assets, you're not going to be able to hang in there and survive and have the ability to buy anything in the future. And that's very depressing. And that's not the way it should be. That ultimately is based in greed. Even if it's veiled as capitalism, the desire for more and more and more without actually caring about our fellow countrymen and our fellow neighbors and one another here in America. American citizens born here, who live here, have families here, work here, provide services and products here, without considering how we can make one another's lives better. These corporations are just aiming to make more and more money, and they're crushing young people, and they're doing it in the gap between boomers and all the generations that came after them. And they're getting your mindset where, hey, you're not going to own anything. And that's a tough place to be. If you don't own an asset, you are in a very tough spot. You can go hiking, you can buy season tickets to your local sports team, you can have an Xbox and play, you can buy items and be happy or stay at home and cook. But your net worth and the ability to afford things is going to continue to go down. And then what ultimately will happen is when people need health care or people realize they can't afford things, they're going to usher in by voting or by decree, they're going to say, hey, let the government take care of us. We need help. The government needs to help us. And I don't blame them. Because when you're hungry, when you're in pain, when you see you can't afford things that other groups of people can afford, the mantra used to be work harder. And that's exactly what you should still believe. There is still a path, but you're going to have to work hard and make sacrifices and change our thinking. So what are some solutions? First solution is fight your way out of debt. Whatever it takes. Pay off debt, get out of debt, find a way, increase your financial education. That was pretty generic. We'll talk more on that later. The second thing is begin to understand and learn about assets beyond just a home. A home is not necessarily an asset. They go up in value, but there's a lot of expense, and you are the person paying monthly to have that asset. So that's not the top tier asset you could have. Also realize that saving money, unfortunately, is not the best solution. So if you have money saved, consider paying off any debt, consider investing in tools, or moving your money somewhere where it's making more money than a savings account, because inflation has been eating your money up over the past few years. And look, I'm the first to say the ability to get into assets right now is extremely hard. So you're going to have to use every advantage you have. And the main thing is we have to begin to change our thinking. We have to begin to see that it's not us against other Americans. It's corporations and government and elites who want to control everything you have, and they're going to do it by force. In the future, they're going to do it by surveillance. They're going to track your spending habits. They're going to get you comfortable. They're going to get you in debt. And then they're going to use automated robot enforcers to come out and guard the streets and enforce all the laws, and there'll be nothing you can do about it. I know that sounds like a bleak future, but if you take time to look and see, you will understand. Like, take the Atlanta metro area, for example. More homes in the Atlanta metro area were purchased in 2023 than any other real estate market by corporations. Almost 50% of all homes were bought by a corporation. That means if you're a young person looking for a house in North Georgia or the Atlanta metro area, that means you have a 1 in 2 chance that you lost the bid or the purchase against a corporation who beat you to the punch. And I guarantee you that they have more money than you have. They have your parents' money or your grandparents' money. They have their retirement accounts of all these people. They combine them, and then they go and they're bidding against you. Does that sound like an America you want to live in? Does that sound like a world that is helping you to succeed and is going to lead to a peaceful future? Absolutely not. So becoming more self-reliant, getting out of debt, preparing, and being aware of what's going on. And hey, listen, it's not easy. I don't want to lie to you and say that it is. It's definitely a difficult road. But if you understand and you can begin stepping yourself out of the matrix, out of the monthly subscriptions, out of the activities that drain your money, maybe going out less, maybe less entertainment, maybe you don't need a new car or new shoes or new items. Perhaps we need to gain skills. Increase your communication ability with the right people. Do you know the sheriff? Do you know like-minded people in your town? Can you strengthen your family relationships in your house and outside of your house? What can be done to strengthen your world against the things that are coming? Think on that. Self-resilience, self-reliance. I appreciate you guys watching. This is meant to be positive, not negative. It's just the reality of a gap that is occurring between boomers and their kids and future generations, and corporations are taking advantage of it, and that's not good for any of us. What can we do? I don't have all the answers, but do something. You're very smart. If you're watching this video, I know you're smart. Thank you for being here. Hit the like button if you want. Stay tuned. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.